If you've found this video, you probably already know who Street Video Reviewer, or SVR, is and the kind of content he creates. Most of it focuses on the law as it applies to auditors, and given that he's made a large number of videos on the subject, you might reasonably think he understands the law and reaches sound legal conclusions. I don't think that's the case, and he makes some very bold claims. This video isn't for or against auditing as a social phenomenon. Auditors behave lawfully sometimes and sometimes they don't. They're not all the same. Typically, SVR argues that auditors intend to create conflict by engaging in activities such as filming or flying drones, and that intent is the basis of what makes auditing unlawful. If an auditor's behaviour, filming, drone operation, public photography, isn't materially different in law from what a street photographer or hobbyist drone pilot does before any dispute arises, then more legal work is needed to show auditing itself is unlawful. The issue being addressed here is how SVR comes to the conclusion that auditing is unlawful. The core problem is this: his conclusion comes first, that auditing is unlawful, and the law is then worked backwards to support it. In law, starting with effect and working backwards is how you turn personal reactions into pseudo-law. Here is a typical example from one of his review videos. He leans heavily on intent. Intent on its own doesn't turn lawful behaviour into a criminal offence. Intent only becomes relevant once the law has already drawn a line around particular conduct. You can intend to upset someone by doing something lawful. That may make you unpleasant, but it doesn't by itself satisfy an offence that requires specific conduct and a defined threshold. Take Section 5 of the Public Order Act 1986. The offence requires threatening or abusive words or behaviour or disorderly conduct. Those are the primary elements. Then you assess whether a person nearby was likely to suffer harassment, alarm or distress. The conduct has to pass the first test before the second becomes relevant. So being upset, objecting or reacting strongly doesn't by itself turn lawful conduct into a crime. Once the type of behaviour is identified, context can help explain how it was carried out. But context doesn't replace that first step, and it doesn't create criminality where none exists. Calling something an audit doesn't change the analysis. The same filming, in the same place, is either lawful or unlawful, whoever does it. Context helps assess behaviour, it doesn't decide legality on its own. The same backwards reasoning appears across many of the laws SVR relies on. It's a predictable pattern that he follows. None of this means auditors never break the law. Some do. Street photographers break the law sometimes. Drone pilots do too. The point is that you don't start with dislike, discomfort or reaction and then declare something illegal. You have to identify the legal rule that applies and then show how the facts meet it. SVR is entitled to dislike auditing on moral, ethical or political grounds. I'm not here to argue about that. My objection is when dislike is turned into illegality by misapplying the law, because legal conclusions have to follow the wording and structure of the statute. That's how the rule of law works.